Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is IMAN AIFA, and today I will be talking about the introduction of the respiratory system. Respiration is the sequence of events that results in the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the atmosphere and the body cell. Every 2 to 5 seconds, nerve impulses stimulates the breathing process or ventilation, which moves air through a series of passages in and out of the lungs. After this, there is an exchange of gases between the lungs and the blood. This is called external respiration. The blood transports the gases to and from the tissue cells. The exchange of gases between the blood and tissue cells is internal respiration. Finally, the cells utilize the oxygen for their specific activities. This is called cellular metabolism or cellular respiration. Together, these activities constitute respiration. Epiglottis, epiglotto, trachea, tracheo, bronchi is broncho or bronchio, alveoli is alveolo. As for lungs is pneumon or pulmon. Next, I will be talking about the upper respiratory system. There are 5 organs contributing to the upper respiratory system. The first one is nose, then tonsil, paranasal sinuses, pharynx, epiglottis, and lastly, larynx. Nose. Nostrils are external opening of the nose. Nasal septum is a wall of cartilage dividing the nose into 2 equal sections. Cilia is thin hair located inside the nostrils. Mucous membranes are specialized tissue lining parts of the respiratory system. Mucus is a secretion produced by mucous membranes. Olfactory receptors are nerve endings acting as receptors for sense of smell. Tonsils. The palatine tonsils is located at the back of the mouth. Nasopharyngeal tonsils is located at the nose and the roof of the mouth. The next slide is paranasal sinuses. Paranasal sinuses are air-filled cavity lined with mucous membrane. They are located in the bones of the skull and divided into 4 pairs. They are known as frontal sinuses, sphenoid sinuses, maxillary sinuses, and ethmoid sinuses. Frontal sinuses are located at the frontal bone just above the eyebrows. Sphenoid sinuses are located in sphenoid bone behind the eye under the pituitary gland and near the optic nerves. Maxillary sinuses are located in maxillary bones under the eyes. Ethmoid sinuses are located in the ethmoid bone between the nose and the eyes. Pharynx. Pharynx is commonly known as throat. It is divided into 3, known as nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. Nasopharynx opens into the oropharynx. Oropharynx is visible when looking into the mouth and is shared by respiratory and digestive systems. Laryngopharynx is shared by respiratory and digestive system. Epiglottis is a small wave-shaped sheet of elastic cartilage that protects your larynx, which is also known as your postbox. Epiglottis swings downwards and close off the laryngopharynx. As for the larynx, larynx is known as the voice box, located between the pharynx and the trachea. It is supported by 9 cartilages. The largest is thyroid cartilage, called Adam's apple, and also contains vocal cords.
Moving on, it's my turn to talk about the structure of the lower respiratory system, like the trachea, bronchi, alveoli, and the lungs. So let's proceed to the next slide. The trachea, or windpipe, is an essential part of our respiratory system. It's about 10 to 12 cm long and 1.5 to 2 cm wide in adults. The trachea has a unique structure with 16 to 20 C-shaped rings of cartilage that give its strength to bend and flex. Inside the trachea, it has a moist membrane that has cilia and goblet cells, which produce mucus to trap the dust and debris, keeping our airways always clean. It starts the cartilage in the neck around the sixth clavicle vertebra and travels down through the chest. And around the level of the sternal angle, is split into the right and left main bronchi. The trachea is located in front of the esophagus and is held in place by the connective tissues with structure like the thyroid gland and position near its upper portions. Next, the bronchi. The bronchi is actually the airways that carry air from the trachea into the lungs. The trachea split into the two main bronchi at the level of the sternal angle, which is located in the chest. One bronchus goes to the right lung and the other to the left. The right bronchus is shorter, wider, and more vertical than the left. Each main bronchus then divides into smaller branches called lobar bronchi, 3 on the right and 2 on the left. These lobar bronchi continue to divide into even smaller tubes called segmental bronchi, which take it to different parts of the lungs. Thirdly, the alveoli. The alveoli are tiny balloons like air pockets found at the end of the bronchioles in the lungs. They play a key role in gas exchange, which is how the oxygen moves into the blood and carbon dioxide is removed. Each alveolus is about 0.2 to 0.5 mm in size, and there are around 480 million alveoli in the lungs, creating a large surface area for gas exchange around 70 to 80 square meters. The alveoli are made of two types of cells. Type 1 cells cover most of the surface, 95%, and form a thin barrier between the air and the blood. Type 2 cells produce a substance called surfactant, which helps keep the alveoli from collapsing when we breathe. The alveoli are grouped together in clusters like branches of grapes and are surrounded by a network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries. Oxygen moves from the alveoli into the blood, while carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the alveoli to be exhaled. Lastly, the lungs. Lungs are actually responsible for the gas exchange and located in the thoracic cavity on either side of the heart. They are roughly cone-shaped with an apex that extends above the first rib and a broad base that rests on the diaphragm. The right lung consists of 3 lobes, superior, middle, and inferior, while the left lung only has 2 lobes, which accommodates the heart position, resulting in a cardiac notch. Each lung is divided by 2 fissures. The right lung has both an oblique and horizontal, where the left lung only has oblique fissure. The lungs also surrounded by a pleural sac composed of 2 layers, the visceral pleura directly covering the lungs and the parietal pleura lining the chest wall. The hilum is a central area on each lung where the bronchi, blood vessel, and nerve enter or exit, forming the root of the lung. Inside, the lung contains about 300 to 500 million alveoli, which are tiny air sacs that facilitate the gas exchange, allowing oxygen to enter the bloodstream while the carbon dioxide is expelled. This extensive network of alveoli provides a large surface area for efficiency gas exchange, essentially for maintaining proper respiratory function. Now, I would like to explain a bit about the other structure like the mediastinum, the pleura, and the diaphragm. The mediastinum is the central area of the chest located between the 2 pleural sacs of the surround the lungs and the content vital structure like the heart, trachea, esophagus, and the major blood vessels. It is divided into the superior mediastinum, which extends from the top of the chest to the sternal angle, and the inferior mediastinum, which stretches down to the diaphragm. The inferior mediastinum is further divided into 3 regions: the anterior, middle, posterior, and mediastinum. Second, the pleura, actually a membrane surrounding by the lungs with the visceral pleura adhering to the lungs and the parietal pleura lining the chest wall. These layers are separated by the pleural cavity, which contains fluid to reduce friction during the breathing. The diaphragm, for the thread, a dome-shaped muscle at the bottom of the chest, separates the thoracic and the abdominal cavities. It plays a key role in breathing by contracting the flattening during inhalation, and to increase the lung space and relaxing the during exhalation to push air out of the lungs. This whole system works together to ensure efficient respiratory and cardiovascular function. That's all from me, and I'll pass to the next presenter.
Now we will move to the physiology of the upper respiratory system. The upper respiratory tract, comprising the nose, tonsils, paranasal sinuses, pharynx, epiglottis, and the larynx, are crucial for the intake of air and other essential functions such as the speech and immune defense. The first part of the upper respiratory tract is the nose. The nose is a complex organ that serves as the primary gateway for air entering the respiratory system, playing a crucial role in breathing, filtering, warming, and humidifying the air before it reaches the lungs. Its internal structure, lined with a mucous membrane, produces mucus to trap dust, bacteria, and viruses, while tiny hair-like cilia move the mucus toward the throat, preventing harmful substances from reaching the lungs. The nasal septum, a cartilage and bone structure, divides the nasal cavity and regulates airflow, while the nasal turbinates help increase surface area for filtration and temperature regulation. Beyond its respiratory functions, the nose plays a critical role in olfaction, which is the sense of smell. The upper nasal cavity houses the olfactory epithelium, where specialized receptors detect airborne molecules and send signals to the brain, allowing us to perceive virus scents. Smell also enhances taste by working with taste buds on the tongue. The nose acts as the first line of defense against pollutants, allergens, and pathogens. Next part are the tonsils. The tonsils are an important part of the body's immune system, serving as the first line of defense against airborne and ingested pathogens. There are three types of the tonsils, which are the palatine tonsils, pharyngeal tonsil, which is the adenoid, and the lingual tonsils. These lymphoid structures contain specialized white blood cells, including lymphocytes, that produce antibodies to neutralize bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens. The tonsils also have crypts that trap particles and expose them to immune cells, allowing the body to recognize and respond to potential infections, preventing harmful microbes from spreading further into the body. The paranasal sinuses are air-filled cavities within the skull that serve multiple important functions. They help lighten the head, reducing its overall weight while maintaining structural integrity and contribute to voice resonance. They also produce mucus to keep the nasal passages lubricated, supporting the overall function of the respiratory tract. The pharynx, also known as the throat, is a muscular passageway for both air and food, connecting the nose and mouth to the esophagus and larynx. It is divided into three regions: the nasopharynx, which primarily serves as an airway, the oropharynx, involved in both breathing and swallowing, and the laryngopharynx, where food and air separate into their respective tracts. Lined with a mucous membrane, the pharynx keeps its surfaces moist while housing tonsils, which help protect against infections. Beyond directing air and food, the pharynx plays a role in swallowing, speech, and immune defense. The pharynx also helps shape vocal sounds. Furthermore, the epiglottis is a flap of elastic cartilage, acts as a switch between the trachea and the esophagus. It directs air into the trachea when breathing and food or liquids into the esophagus during swallowing. The epiglottis is lined with mucous membrane, allowing it to remain flexible during these movements. During swallowing, the laryngeal muscles contract, causing the epiglottis to fold downward and cover the laryngeal inlet. This action prevents food and liquids from entering the trachea and lungs, significantly reducing the risk of aspiration and choking. Once swallowing is complete, the epiglottis returns to its upright position, allowing air to pass freely into the lungs during breathing. This automatic reflex is vital for safe eating and respiration. Despite its small size, the epiglottis plays a critical role in protecting the airway. Last but not least is the larynx. The larynx, or voice box, controls breathing, swallowing, and sound production. It connects the pharynx to the trachea and contains the vocal cords, which vibrate to produce sound when air passes through them. The pitch and volume of the sound are determined by how tightly the vocal cords are stretched in the airflow. The larynx directs air into the lungs and regulates airflow, playing a vital role in respiration. In addition to producing sound, the larynx helps protect the lower respiratory tract. The larynx also acts as a barrier against foreign substances such as dust and pathogens and assists in coughing to clear irritants from the airways. Overall, the larynx is essential for communication, breathing, and protecting the respiratory system.
Okay, now I will continue to the lower respiratory tracts physiology. The function of the lower respiratory tract is to bring in air from the upper respiratory system, absorb oxygen, and exhale carbon dioxide. The trachea is a tube that carries air from the throat to the lungs. When we breathe in, the air travels through the trachea where it is filtered before reaching the lungs. The trachea has ring of the cartilage that keep it open, making sure air can flow freely into the bronchi and lungs. The trachea split into two bronchs, one of each lung. These bronchs carry the air deeper into the lungs. As the air moves through the bronchs, they continue to filter and direct it to the smaller airway. The bronchi ensure that the air reaches to the different part of the lungs, where it will be used for gas exchange. The lungs are the top layer of the respiratory system. They are soft, spongy organs that do all the hard work of taking in oxygen and getting rid of the carbon dioxide. When you breathe in, your lungs expand like balloon, and when you breathe out, they shrink back down. The alveoli are the tiny air sacs in the lungs where gas exchange happens. When we breathe in, oxygen from the air passes through the thin wall of the alveoli and moves into the blood. At the same time, carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the alveoli to be exhaled. The alveoli are surrounded by the tiny blood vessels called capillaries, which help with this exchange of gas. This process ensures that our body gets the oxygen it needs and remove carbon dioxide.
Okay, next we will talking about respiration. Okay, so what is respiration? Respiration or breathing is the exchange of oxygen for carbon dioxide that is essential to life. A single respiration or breathing consists of one inhalation and one exhalation. So, what is inhalation talking about? Inhalation is the process of taking in air. When the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, the thoracic cavity will expand. This action will create negative pressure that pulls air into the lungs. Okay, so what about exhalation? We will discuss what is exhalation. Okay, so exhalation is the process of breathing out. As the diaphragm relaxes and moves upward, the thoracic cavity or our chest becomes smaller. This action will create positive pressure that pushes air out of the lungs. External respiration is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the lungs from the outside environment. As air is inhaled into the alveoli, oxygen immediately passes into the surrounding capillaries and is carried by erythrocyte, which is red blood cell, to all body cells. At the same time, the waste product, carbon dioxide, that has passed into the bloodstream is transported into the air spaces of the lungs to be exhaled. For internal respiration or cellular respiration is the exchange of gases within the cells of the blood and tissues. In this process, oxygen from the blood enter the cells and carbon dioxide, a waste product, move from the cell into the bloodstream. The blood then carries carbon dioxide to the lung where it is exhaled.
The respiratory system is essential for delivering oxygen to the body and removing carbon dioxide, enabling cellular function and overall health. It consists of key organs such as the lungs, trachea, diaphragm, working together to facilitate breathing. Maintaining respiratory health through exercise, avoiding pollutants, and practicing good hygiene is crucial for optimal function. That's all from me. Thank you for listening.